Hey, so my name's Randy, and I've been asked to come up here and kind of share my testimony, a little bit about Angel Tree and what it's meant to me. And Angel Tree really has a special place for me. And the reason that is because I've actually been to prison but 13 times. That's 4 terms and violated my parole 9 different times. So I've been actually to prison 13 times. And before I go into my testimony, I just want to explain a little bit about Angel Tree and what it is for those that don't know. And for those that don't know what a testimony is, for the younger ones, it's just kind of my story of where I was and then where I am now. But Angel Tree is actually part of Prison Fellowship. And off of Prison Fellowship comes Angel Tree. And some of you that are old enough to remember Chuck Colson and the Watergate scandal. But Chuck Colson went to prison after the Watergate scandal, and he went inside, was there a number of months, came back out and just saw the huge need as he was converted to Christ, the need in the prisons. And so I'm actually a part of Prison Fellowship, and so not knowing it a number of years ago, I was on the inside sending gifts to my children. And now I'm on the outside going back into prison, handing out Angel Tree applications, and what a blessing it is to hand out those applications, because I'm sure a lot of you know that the dads' kind of hands are tied. And there's some moms too, that their hands are tied also, but they do a great job, and I'm actually very proud to be working with them. So my testimony starts out when I was pretty young. I was 9, and the neighbors down the street, they asked me to watch their home, and I think what they intended was for me to water the outside of the garden and do a little lawn mowing. And before long, I found myself going through a window into their house, and so I could easily say that was my first burglary. And I stole what I think any 9-year-old would steal. I stole a straight knife and some cookies. And then from there, I remember I was about 10 when my mom had to come pick me up from Rayleigh's for shoplifting. From there, it just kind of snowballed. And from the age of 13 until 18, I spent most of that time in juvenile hall, boys ranches, and CYA, California Youth Authority. And so I was 18 and in juvenile hall, and everyone that I'd seen gone before me, once they turned 18, they pretty much cut you loose, let you go, and just go about your way. And so I was actually in court on my 18th birthday thinking I was going to go home that day. And the judge didn't think that was a good idea, and said he thought it would be better to send me to the youth authority. And so there I was, going off to the youth authority when I thought I was going home that day. And if you don't think that was a crushing 18th birthday, very much so. And so that was my first prison number. That was a really rough time. I was actually a small boy in a grown-up world, because in CYA it was the 18 to 26 group. And I seen some things that I think no small boy should ever have to see. From there, I don't remember dates real well, but it was the day that the space shuttle crashed with the teacher on board. That was my first experience going to jail in LA County, and I was arrested in LA County for conspiracy to sell narcotics, along with about 6 other of us, and that was my first prison number. And I did that term and all the violations that go with it. And then the mid-90s, I was driving my Camaro on the east side of Stockton, minding my own business, when the police pulled me over for no front license plate, and they found explosives in my trunk. And so I was then arrested for manufacturing explosives. I did that term and all the violations that go with it, and then got out, and I met a girl in Stockton, and we decided to get out of California. get out of California and move to Kentucky. Her son was starting to get involved with gangs, and I think it'd be a great thing to get away. I was fairly clean at the time. So we moved to Kentucky. The only problem with that is I took myself with me, and I was right back in the same behavior that I was but previously. Shortly, 2 years we lived there. I was an over-the-road truck driver, and I found myself once again right back in the lifestyle and running methamphetamines from Modesto to Kentucky. I ended up acquiring a lot of things, and now that I look back on that, I can see what I was doing, and I was trying to fill this hole in my heart with stuff. And I had a lot of nice things, but when I got something new, it would last me a shorter amount of time before I had to get something again to try and fill that hole that only, as I learned later, that the Lord could fill. And so I had lost the best truck driving job that I ever had. The relationship with the girlfriend was just a wreck. Everyone around me, including myself, were spun out on that garbage. And so I decided this wasn't what I want to do. I'm gonna clean up. I'm gonna go back to truck driving, and I'm gonna try to get back on track as I just was a couple years earlier. And so I was gonna sell the last of what I had and do that. And so the phone rang, and I had my customer, and I actually put everything that I had together in one bag, and I went to go sell it to him, and I sold to an inconfidential informant. And I was on my way to prison for the 13th time. I remember when I got to the jail, I was a little disorientated because everything happened so fast, and I was wondering what kind of case they had, if I had any way out, and I did not. I was in serious trouble. Kentucky works a little bit differently than they do out here, and they frown on any kind of drugs, and I was in serious trouble. So I came to the point where I knew I wasn't getting out, and I knew that I didn't want to live like this anymore. I could go do this time, but in my mind I was thinking about all the violations that I had to do, all the times that I was going to end up going back to prison. And in that, I decided that I was going to give something a try here. I decided I was going to try this religion thing, because the people that were going to prison on Mondays, it's not the same people that were going to church on Sundays. And so that's what I really wanted. I wanted a whole different lifestyle. So I remember going to this one church service at the county jail, and it just didn't resonate with me. And then the next Sunday, I went to another church service, a different kind, and I was jumped by an uncle and a nephew, and that church service picked up this scar right here, so I didn't really care for that church service too much. And then I went back to this Wednesday night Bible study, and these old country bumpkins came in, and they told me about this Jesus that died on a cross for me. And I did not understand that. I did not understand why someone would die for me after I was out there ripping and running, selling my garbage to whoever, taken from whoever I could, why someone would die for me. But I went back. I went back the next Wednesday. And it was either that Wednesday or the one after that I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. And things changed very quickly for me. They gave me a Bible. And when you're in jail, most programs are they stay up all night and sleep all day. Well, I changed that program, and I was staying up all day and sleeping all night. So when everybody was sleeping, I was reading. And I just started reading, ripping those pages apart, and just going and going. And I developed a relationship with my Lord very quickly. And the first offer that they gave me in Kentucky was like 34 years. And I didn't take that offer. But the Lord worked through that, and I ended up taking a deal for 12 years. And I ended up serving 33 months on those 12 years. in Kentucky, everybody goes in front of a board, and you very rarely make parole your first time up. But the Lord, I think the Lord saw that I was ready, that I had had enough, and He allowed me and granted me that parole the first time up. And then, so I got back out, and I was actually picked up by a volunteer that went into the prisons, and he helped me out dramatically, over the top. He didn't give me a handout, but he gave me a helping hand. And what he did is his prayer group, they paid the first and last month's rent on an apartment for me. He lent me one of his pickup trucks, and he got me a job. And so from there, I took it from there. And so I ended up actually marrying that girl when I was my girlfriend at the time that was with me, and I actually married her before I went to prison from the county jail, because she had a record as well. And what I learned very quickly in the jail was that I would not be able to be with her when I got out unless we got married. And so if that's not a good idea, or if those aren't good reasons to get married, I don't know what are. And so obviously that relationship did not work. The Bible talks about being unequally yoked. And I went one way and she went her way as well. And so I ended up coming back here to California. I came alongside another ministry, and the Lord was he was already preparing me for the ministry that He had for me. And so today I'm blessed to be a part of people's lives. I get to sit in the front row and watch my God work in the hearts of men and women that have come out of the same lifestyle that I came out of. And there's no better joy or no drug that's as satisfying as be able to watch that happen right before my very eyes. And from time to time, He works in my life as well. But what I want to try to convey to you guys is today I have stuff that nobody can take away. I have 3 tow trucks. I have a pretty nice motorcycle. I have 2 very nice hot rods. I think I have about 12 insurance cards in my pocket for different vehicles. I have 6 credit cards with my name on it. But what I have that's more valuable than that is I have a peace that the Bible talks about that surpasses all understanding. And if you put all my stuff on one hand, and that peace that surpasses all understanding on the other hand, and ask me to choose for those, there's no doubt in my mind that I would choose that peace. I would choose that peace because there's not a problem that I have that the rapture won't take care of. And that's where I focus. When my God comes back for His people, I know that I'm going up with Him. And this life that we have, the average lifespan is about 78 years. I think I'm going to make it to 80. I only got 30 years left to do. I worked off a CYA number, I worked off a J number, I worked off a D number. Those are my prison's numbers. Now I'm working off this Social Security number. And when I get rid of that one, I'm going to be with my King. And the Bible talks about in Revelation what that's going to be like, that no eye has seen, no ear has heard what that's going to be like. The Bible talks about streets of gold. And what a day that will be. So I want to encourage you to, one, ask that same God into your heart that saved me from myself. But I also want you to know that there's other people here that love you and care about you and don't even know you. Just like that guy that came into prison and took me to his home and rented me a place and let me use his. He didn't know me, but he believed in me, and I believe in you guys too. So just want to thank you guys for coming, and I think that's about it. There's on that brown box back there, there are some tracts. They're called tracts, but they're my testimony as well. And if anybody would like to have one of those to send to somebody else that may think they could use that word of encouragement, they're back there. Feel free. And so I just want to thank you guys for coming. I think I'm going to ask Kelly to come up, and she is going to kind of direct from there. All right, thank you.